How's it going, guys? Matt here with Carolina Coops. Welcome to Video Chicken. To my left is my host, Kristen Warren.
I think this one really could be a male.
Oh, we got one that's hatching? This show is for you guys. This is the bass fiber. Y'all know chickens are the gateway drug into homesteading.
We survived with only one trip to the ER.
Coyotes are everywhere.
It's about time you show up, Matt.
Uh-huh.
It's a great straw.
It is time, finally, for chicken police. They defecate every 12 seconds. Is that true? Now it is officially noon because the buzzer went off.
Well, I've never counted.
Long
More
road.
coops.
That's a good one with the courts and everything.
And more chickens.
Well, the math you do now, Daddy, is chicken math.
Calm down, Matt.
But-
Calm down.
Just in time. Yeah, is he talking about you? What's going on, guys? Welcome to Video
How
Chicken.
did he know I just got here?
Happy Friday.
Benjamin.
We are live. August.
It is August.
August. Okay, we're going to work on this.
Okay,
Thank
Matt.
you. Well, because you know what it is? Because you refuse to follow the rules. You're such a rule breaker. If you wore your earbuds, you would hear your audio level.
Okay.
Our viewers and listeners deserve to hear everything you have to say loud and clear.
Okay.
Yeah. What's going on? Someone made it to work just in time today. I saw Ingrid. I was kind of messing with her. She's walking on trying to find people, and I knew the way she was gonna go, so I was like, I'm gonna go behind here. She's not.
I know. I
You were
heard like
hiding?
doors closing behind me. I knew exactly what you like. I'm like, oh, for
It's like a
Pete's
maze
sakes.
around here.
It is. It's quite funny. All right. Well, again, welcome to Video Chicken. We are live. It is August 5th, 2022. Welcome to the show, Kristen. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm a little late today. I had some last minute chicken chores to do.
Well, I wouldn't say you're late. You made it you said you got here just when you said you
Yes.
would. I don't know why you got to push it to the last minute.
Oh, here, I gotta
You understand how
gotta
much that
clock in.
stresses out the lovely Ingrid, who is behind the computer, behind the mic, behind the mixer over there, make sure everything looks and sounds good. How are you doing today, Ingrid?
I'm good.
Yeah, we had a busy week this week.
We did.
I had an Ingrid day on Wednesday.
I was a little jealous.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You're more than welcome to come here and work from the shop anytime you want. I don't think Ingrid's like, yeah, Kristen, no, you're not missing anything. He drives me crazy. Today's going to be a fun day.
It's the big bug show.
The bug show.
Well, this is like the Christmas for you or something.
This
isn't
is
it?
going to be the season finale. I think we're going to go off the air for about 3-4 months. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, really?
Yeah. We probably should. We should only do like so many episodes per season and then cut it off. But no, today's the bug show. And
I asked you if you wanted me to bring any in. You know, I like to pull live things out of my purse.
I will not be surprised if you didn't.
Yeah, I
Do you
tried.
have- do you
I
have
tried.
do you have I was gonna say, do you have a dung beetle in there?
I tried to get a somebody's pet rat, but I wasn't getting a response on Instagram. So.
Oh my god.
Well, that's not bad, actually.
Yeah.
We had a snake this morning. Nan's cousins are down from from New York. And they saw a big snake this morning. It was quite funny. Anyways, yeah, so the bug show. So this is gonna be an interesting show. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna do the best I can for everyone. I hope I don't bore you because I have a feeling you're just gonna hear me say the same thing over and over. And definitely, any questions you guys have, this show is for you guys. But today we want to focus on the pests. Maybe you have some pest questions. Whether it's snakes to mites to flies, whatever it is. So truth be told, most people know this. I was a exterminator for 15 years, but I was a structural pest control. All right, so here's where and I've been out of the loop for almost 15 years now. But
I don't think the bugs have evolved much since then.
You never know. What has probably evolved or changed is the types of pesticides that are available should you choose to have to pull the trigger and aim and fire and shoot directly. So you did bring something. Look, it's green. It's a green bottle. It's not blue. The green screen, I tell you, it's funny. Whoever's listening out in the office, please bring me in one of the new shop shirts. I wanted to see what the shop shirt would do with the green screen. So I believe Nan is in there listening. I know she gets a lot of phone calls right now, but make sure we do that. Okay.
I
So,
don't see anybody coming in from Facebook, so I just asked Non if it was working on Facebook. 'Cause quite frankly, I'm afraid to touch things.
well, then let me take a look. Yeah, because Ingrid.
I'm watching live on Facebook.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Non.
It's just Facebook's dying,
It
you know,
is.
and they're not dumb. This is why they changed over to Meta, and they are reinventing. I don't know if you guys are watching it, but they are going to reinvent our lives once again with technology. It's quite fascinating. Good and bad, whatever. So if you are listening and watching on Facebook, please give us a comment. Anyone, if you have any questions or comments, there we go. Thank you, Kathy. If you don't have any questions or comments, please wave hi. Let us know where you're watching from, and do everything you can to share the show. I love it. We already got 50 people in here. That's got to be a record because it usually takes about 15 minutes before the full audience is in here. So anyways, as I was saying, today's going to be about bugs. And if you have any questions specifically to Pest, that would be great. But if you have other chicken questions, coop questions, where's my coop question, which we get, please fire away with those questions. Now, I was a structural pest control technician is the proper term. So my specialty are the pests that invade structures. And that may not mean a lot to other people. It's like, well, what does that mean, Matt? I'm not going to have a lot of expertise when it comes to ornamental pests, which can happen and affect chicken coops. And also when you have certain pests that affect animals, in this case, we're talking chickens, where you get the expertise from a veterinarian. My favorite story is I'll never forget when I got 2 in my career of scabies. I got scabies calls, right?
Or did you get scabies?
No, I didn't get scabies. And the scabies.
Wait, this is where we start itching, right?
There is a term. I was hoping to do another
And lice?
giving away prize that people can know, but I don't want them to cheat. But there is a term for the itchies that I used to tell people all the time. You just have this, you're not really getting bit, I swear. Yeah. Anyways, so we're gonna jump into it, and I'm gonna do the best I can for you guys. Now, Ingrid did an amazing job, as always, putting together a great slideshow for everyone. And I think what would be great is to I saw it floating down the street.
What?
Gosh, here comes Nan. Nan has a new shop shirt. Now, is this gonna make the merch? I am very proud of these. I was going to wear it, and thank God I didn't.
Yeah.
So it's not, it's yellow, is it not?
It's chartreuse.
It's
It's neon.
Yeah, it's like a neon yellow green.
Construction yellow.
It's not even
It's like in the 80s when neon
Yes.
colors were.
You know what? I'm very proud of these shirts. So
80s or 90s.
These are the shop shirts. It's safety green, I believe it's called, safety yellow. And when everyone was wearing them out on the shop floor, they look like fireflies everywhere. It's great. Anyways, okay, so no wearing that on the green screen. All right, answers that question. Okay.
It'd be a floating head. That might be fun.
Floating
though.
head and arms. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with...
That's how I see Matt. He's just a big floating head all the time, whether I'm at home or whatever.
Is that good or bad?
It's a pretty funny image, actually.
Anyways, all right. So again, people are coming in. If you're just joining us, welcome to Video Chicken. We are live August 5th. Today is going to be the bug show. We've been trying to theme each show, so we have something really more specific to talk about.
It's just so we can have a title.
Well,
for the
yeah,
show.
and to promote the show. See, someone already dropped off. We already bored someone, so let's get into the slides. Ingrid did a great job making a slideshow, and let's see how she did. Look at that. I mean, come on. Of course, immediately I'm like, Ingrid, what is that to the upper right? I see the mouth parts of a spider, but I only see 6 legs. I am not going to be able to get through this show.
He's trying to attribute like realistic characteristics to cartoon bugs. It's like, I don't know, man. It's a cartoon. Their eyes really aren't that big either. So.
Thunder 402, hello from upstate New York. What is your definition of upstate New York? Only us upstate New Yorkers understand that question because people are like, oh, I'm from upstate. No, Poughkeepsie's not upstate. Westchester's not
Isn't
upstate.
anything but New York City?
No, upstate. If you are not north of 17, you are not upstate. I'm sorry, but technically, if you want to get technical, the people that live in true upstate, all the way up in the Adirondack, up to Potsdam, Malone, Watertown, that is truly upstate. But anyways, I just love when people say hello from upstate.
I know people in Rockland County are like, I live upstate. I'm like,
I don't even know where Rockland County is.
It's above Westchester. It's below Dutchess. It's not upstate.
Yeah, no clue where you're talking about. Are you talking about way downstate, just north of New York City? Yeah, that's not upstate. Anyways,
I know. I agree with you.
All right. So
One of the few times.
title doesn't say bugs, to be fair. What's bugging you? What's bugging your birds? A guide to identifying and dealing with common parasites and pests. Oh, boy. We're going to call this a guide.
Well, yeah.
Here's what I'm going to try to do today, folks. I'll be honest with you, because it is what I want to really teach you guys is that if you are dealing with a pest issue, I want to teach you how to figure it out. Not so much like, okay, if you have this, do this, okay? Because there's so many variables. What I think is so important for you to be able to successfully eradicate whatever it is your problem is, you got to understand what you're dealing with. And that's going to be the theme, honestly. And I hope it won't be boring. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. And again, if you have questions, please leave them in the comment section. All right. Now, do you want to do the reading since you love to read?
I'm actually already getting itchy.
What is that? Do you remember what it's called?
Um,
Nan's dying to chime in right now. She talks. I say it to her all the
it's
time.
2 words.
Yes. 2 words. The itchies.
Is it when you itchy because of the suggestion? Or
Yes.
something.
When you start talking about head lice and you have like a conversation about it, all of a sudden your head starts
Fun
itching.
fact about Kristen and her family: they love head lice.
I've seen pictures.
We had it when the kids were
So did
younger.
we. So did we.
And when there was a lot of bonding.
And I think I told you. I said
And
I
a
think
lot
we
of
got a case. I
laughing.
think Jetta has a case of head lice, and you drove 12 hours. Like you packed your family up, and we're here.
Because we had already gone through it and we knew what worked and what didn't.
And you know what? I will say you do know a excellent product for treating head lice. No, we're not gonna say it yet. I wonder if anybody else has any suggestions, because it was nothing I've ever heard of as using this for this, but it's used for something else.
It's got a lot of uses. It's just the amber Listerine.
Oh, you weren't supposed to say the answer. Listerine. You really don't understand entertainment and drawing things out in drama.
I know, but then we forget. And
No,
it
we
leaves
don't
people
forget.
Hanging. I like to close those
Well, this is the bug show for chickens and not for,
and not head lice.
and
Well,
not for head lice.
But we're going to talk about lice. All right, so
We
the
are.
most common mites found on chickens. So now you say the most common, there are a lot of mites out there, thousands, right?
Right, but these are the ones that are typically found on chickens.
And I'll have to say, and I could be wrong, and I would love for the listeners out there to tell me what you think. It might be one of the most difficult things to treat, if you will. And when I say treat, I don't just mean spraying or applying a pesticide. It's doing something to control or eliminate the mites. And this one's going to be tricky because there's so many different species, and the theme to dealing with any kind of pest is you got to know the pest. You got to know your enemy. You got to know the target. And if you do not identify them properly, you're going to run into problems, especially with mites. Okay. So Ingrid, when Wednesday when we were doing the show, Ingrid had a lot to say. It was quite fascinating.
What do you mean?
Well, it was great to hear the things that you learned from doing your research and then bouncing them off of me and putting together these wonderful slideshows.
I missed all that.
You did. You could have been here.
Oh,
Okay. You weren't in court on Wednesday, just Thursday. Congratulations, by the way.
thank you.
Yeah, I always told you should have been a lawyer. No, I'm just kidding. A politician. All right. Northern fallow mites, red roost mites, scaly leg mites. Now, here you got me. Deplumbing mites. I never even.
Pluming. That's like a feather mite. They go at the feather
See?
shaft.
Ah, she's good.
Plumage.
Plumage. Tropical fallow mites. Okay, so we all have mites, and one thing we can see right away. Now, these are somewhat accurate pictures, can we say, even though they're not going to be an actual scientific picture, which is one of the most important things to go to for positive ID. But mites are an arachnid, right? So if you're dealing with a little tiny bugger and you count it and it only has 6 legs, in most cases, it's not going to be a mite. So right there, I mean, it's just, again, helping with identification. Now, the northern fowl mite, that seemed to come up a lot.
Yeah, the northern fowl mite and the tropical fowl mite, which you'll see on the next slide here.
Well, I didn't get a chance to read the bottom.
I'm sorry, I went to roost mites. Okay.
Okay.
So the northern fowl mite and the tropical fowl mite are pretty much the same mite in different areas, as the name suggests.
Okay.
And that's like what you find on your chickens.
And that's going to be, a lot of times I've seen it where they're around the shaft of the feather or the vent,
The vent. Wow.
up around the eyes and wattles. Now, I have to be honest, I'm not exactly sure why, but it has to be that they prefer those areas. And when you see an insect harboring, living, nesting in a certain area, that's another sign, a clue to tell you in your identification as we're reading.
Right,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yes, it's okay. So now the red roost mite, I can understand understand a lot because it's very familiar. When I would read about it, research it, it reminds me of bed bugs. You said the next slide is the red.
so-
Now, I'm not saying go to it.
Well, I mean, these were just like an overview, and then I get to each one specifically.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Well, then let's move on with the show, Ingrid.
I'm going to move on.
You said that these aren't scientific drawings. They kind of remind me of maybe a mite having a bitmoji or something. Like that's what it would look like if you were gonna have if you were a mite and you wanted to have a bitmoji.
Okay, so those are our 5. Okay, so mites. All right, so here we got the common name, the red mite, chicken mite, poultry mite, roost mite. So now there's another thing that'll get you in trouble when it comes to dealing with pests, are these darn common names. And now I can understand why back in our bug school. And I actually I should have Nan, do you know where my certificate is from Purdue University? I don't know if anyone's
It's
seen
in the
it.
black file cabinet at the farm.
Yeah, I have like the PhD of bug pest control technology. Anyways, they hammer in understanding the scientific name, and I understood why is because you can screw up common names like TikTok. That guy that you sent me the other day keeps calling sewer rats. Sewer rats. No, that's not even a good common name. We'll talk about that when we get to the rat section. So, do you want to take a stab at the scientific name here?
Dermanicius gallinae.
Yeah, not bad. So I'm going to call it the roost mites. I
Yeah.
think that's important, but red mite, chicken mite, poultry mite, roost mite, I don't know. The reason why I like roost mite is because if you have roost mites and you want to get rid of them, you got to understand what's going on, okay? They're a bloodsucker, okay? Right there, you got to understand what is the food source. And you got to understand it because when we start to talk about potential treatments, if you don't know the food source, you may be using the wrong products. Okay, now so I want you to think about you're this little bug, you're this little roost mite, and if you are a blood-sucking creature, you actually have a straw for a mouth part. Okay,
No.
piercing, sucking mouth part, like mosquitoes. Okay, so you just got a straw. Now, what you have to understand is most insects and arachnids and pests have to die through ingestion of an insecticide in this case, or they got to get it in dermally, and that's a whole nother story. So when you're dealing with pests like fleas, bed bugs, ticks, roost mites, it is difficult to get to kill them because they're not grooming themselves like crickets, cockroaches, where you can use a very common product. Actually, we were talking about this morning, borax, which is a stomach poison. It's a great product to use in many different ways. You can take advantage of them grooming themselves and ingest. Well, here you can't. So what happens when it comes to roost mites is you have to, one, positively identify them and know where are they hanging out most of the time. And that's cracks and crevices. And, people have nitpicked us, the rope wrap roost bars. They say, well, that's going to contribute to roost mites. Potentially yes or potentially no. Okay? There are cracks and crevices everywhere. If you try to picture yourself as this little bugger, you can hide anywhere. And as an exterminator, as someone that had to apply pesticides legally, we love those two words, cracks and crevices. Because if you didn't have cracks and crevices to apply this insecticide, you were illegally applying. But what's nice is when you got these cracks and crevices to apply, say, one of our famous products was Dryone. But I think last week we talked about 7 Dust, but 7 Dust is not even on the market anymore.
It is, but it's not a recommendation for chickens.
All right, so we
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we used to the common. I think we used to dust our chickens with that. Is that right? Or maybe it wasn't 7, but it was something
A
similar.
lot of people use 7. It's just in my research, I found that they have no longer recommended that. Like, don't use that around your chickens. There are some sites you look at it and it recommends it, but
there's something I have to mention as we're starting to talk about products already. You got to read the label.
yes.
And I'll guarantee you, if it doesn't say to use this on chickens externally, I wouldn't. There's reasons why. Could you do it? Yeah, there's a lot of things we can do that we're not supposed to do. Read the label. It is in there. So I know we use Dryone dust a lot, and that's very similar to diatomaceous earth, okay? It's just a desiccant. It's little crushed up minerals that will dry up the outside of whatever your target pest is, because to hold their moisture in, it's on the outside of their body, okay? And when you can apply, in this case, we'll just say diatomaceous earth, and people get it in a jug, right? Like if I've seen it, that's all fine and dandy. Don't just sprinkle it around. You're wasting it, okay? Get yourself a little duster. It's all about what the applicator in this case, okay? It means nothing if it's in a container, but until it's in a device and you know where to apply it. And if you don't put it in the right areas, you're missing the mark. And I think a lot of people that get frustrated with trying to deal with pests and using products, like, oh, this product sucks. No, it's not the product. It's the applicator. It's the shooter, if you will. So knowing that these roost mites have to hide, my God, they come out, what, feed for an hour, maybe 2 a day? So, okay, the rest of the next 22 hours, they're in a crack and crevice. That's where you got to hit them, all right?
The other important thing that you taught me,
Ooh, really?
with this whole bug show is that in order to treat them however you're going to treat them, with it, whether it's DE or whatever you use, is you need to know the life cycle.
Oh, God, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I went back and made sure I put the life cycle of the different mites on everything. So because they'll have eggs, and you're gonna have to retreat, or you're gonna have to know how long they go from egg to maturity.
Aww.
She's so proud.
And that brings back memories. That's why I used to love teaching this, because it's really not complicated, but you got to understand what you're dealing with. And that's why I mentioned in most cases they have 8 legs, but actually right here, and I wasn't sure if it was true for mites, but I know like ticks, okay? Yeah. Ticks, in their life cycle, before they're an adult, they're called a seed tick. And you have a seed tick because that only has 6 legs. But people can misidentify, thinking they're all smart and whatnot. Go, oh, this is not a tick. It's only got 6 legs. No, it's a juvenile. It's a seed tick. It's a baby tick. But once they hit adulthood, they have all 8 legs. Why? I don't know, to be honest with you. I used to know these things. But here I see a picture of the larva stage of the roost mite, and you only have 6 legs. And that would make sense. It's just juvenile. Look at it. You see the big old piercing, sucking mouth part coming out of the proto-nymph.
I get so grossed out by.
Oh my God, I love this stuff. So right there, you see it has a piercing, sucking mouth part. So think about it. It's you got to be good. You got to get the product where they're going to be hanging out most of the time, because if you can't let them do the work for you through a bait or consuming it, eating it with a chewing mouth part, you got to make sure you're giving them a dose that will kill them externally, whether it's going to be a desiccant, or there is a couple other products that will penetrate into the body and kill them by messing up the nervous system.
And we've talked about that later.
All right, so roost mites, they're going to come out at night, crawl onto your chicken, suck their blood. It's that simple.
Do we just assume that everybody has these? I've never seen one of those.
No, and actually,
but
Ingrid,
I've never looked either.
Ingrid, you were telling me it's actually very rare to have roost mites.
I know. Well, I wasn't sure. I found some websites that said that they weren't quite as common. I think what it is because we just say mites and we say red mite or whatever it is, that I think people we assume that they're roost mites, and people don't know. So I think there's a lot of misidentification of what people are really dealing with. And it could even be like they could have like lice on there, you know what I mean? And they're thinking, well, I have mites. Like they're just using this blanket term for things.
Yeah. Right.
And chances are they could have roost mites, but I tend to think it's probably not the case, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah. It all starts with identification.
And see, here
well,
we go.
Would you need a microscope to identify it?
You know, this is how I was. I was such a nerd.
Did you wear one around your neck?
I wore one around my neck. Why not? I was the most. I'd
like to see a picture of that.
I was the most efficient, because you're not paid by the hour. You're paid commission. So I was like, I'm gonna outsmart this system, and boy, did I! If I had a 3-hour day, that was a long day for me. Oh my God, I was mad. I would, because there were times, especially in bed bugs. So you got bed bugs, you got bat bugs. And you could screw things up by misidentifying a bat bug and a bed bug. And the only way you could tell the difference is these little tiny hairs up by the pronotum, I think it was called, up by the head. Anyway, so you could see it real quick. It was a lot of fun. The customers got a kick out of it. Of course, we all travel with our microscopes. But yes, you got to get them underneath the microscope. Now, here's a pro tip. All right?
Pro tip.
Man, how in the hell am I going to identify this? I got a microscope, this and that. What I used to do is you just take clear tape. Oh, hell, you could probably almost take something like this, like a lint roller. Figure out where those mites are and just, yeah. Ooh,
interesting.
Boy. Yeah, no, you take a piece of tape.
Did
okay.
you get hemp off my shoulder?
I sure did. What in the world have you been doing?
She said she had chicken stuff to deal with.
Chores.
So you take a piece of tape and you just catch them, all right? And then you take them underneath the microscope, and you'd be amazed how quickly you can identify these pests. And again, if you don't identify them correctly, you're wasting your time. Okay.
Well, what if we ignore them? Is that bad?
I would say, well, it depends. It depends. It depends on what it is. You don't want to ignore certain things, and other things you're like, oh, that's just kind of, that's just life. But you don't want your chickens getting stressed out by something. And here's the other thing. You know what? That's actually a great question. I used to often say bugs don't lie. A lot of people are like, well, what's that mean, Matt? A lot of times when you have these pests, if you ignore them, that means there's a very good chance you're ignoring a bigger problem. And it's usually going to be a sanitation problem. I used to love going into these apartments and they got bottle flies. Okay. And bottle flies are the shiny green ones, shiny blue. And we knew as soon as we saw them that we had a breeding source of a dead body somewhere, of dead meat, chicken, steaks, a body. They don't lie. So a lot of times you're like, oh, you don't want to ignore them. We might have something dead around here. And a lot of times with flies, we're going to get into that. You're not going to get rid of them if you don't get rid of the breeding source. So northern fowl mite.
And the tropical fowl.
And the tropical fowl mite. So these are great pictures. I can tell you the shadows on top. I mean, I know they're not shadows, but that's a great way to probably quickly identify them. You got the big round body. You know, I'm sure we're looking at adults. Now, do they have a piercing, sucking mouth part? These ones chew, right?
They look like they have, I don't know.
Well, you do know because you're probably going to tell us somewhere on one of these slides.
No.
Found on vent, tail, back, and neck during cooler seasons.
That's for the northern one in the northern states.
Found on a fluffy vent. Feathers during spring and early summer, southern states.
That's for the southern fowl mount, the tropical fowl mite.
So these ones are going to feed externally on the host, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to go anywhere else.
Right.
Okay, so that's easy. That is something that, you know, if you have mites, so after you positively identify, there's two things we need to think about. There's, okay, the reaction and treatment, and then you get into preventing them. These chickens are outdoors. I don't know if, you know, prevention is a big thing in the bug world. I'm sure if we really dug in deep, there's got to be ways of preventing mites, but it's probably going to be through use of chemicals, which I'm not a fan of. I'll be honest with you. I've seen how misused chemicals are.
And we don't want to kill all the bugs because that's what they eat.
Exactly. So if you have mites on your chickens, there's a very good chance it's probably stressing them out. And this is where the dust bath is so important. Okay. And maybe you're not giving them an area that has enough silica in it or just not enough of a desiccant material that they need to get in around the base of their feathers to kill these little buggers. So pay attention to that. And there's all kinds of research you can do about natural desiccants. Like a lot of people burn certain species of wood as an ash. That'll act as a desiccant. But we talk again a lot about DE. And I've never used DE in my life, to be honest with you, but I understand it enough that it could be something, if used the correct way, could be beneficial. So if you are like, well, I don't know if they're getting the right ingredients in their dust bath, maybe sprinkle some DE in with that dust bath. That can make all the difference in the world to allow the chickens to do the rest of the work.
Someone here says to put the DE in water. Is that going to...
So that's what drives me nuts. And I almost thought about having Dr. Crespo come on.
Yeah, because it seems like that might work for internal worms, but maybe it's not going to help with the mites.
Right. So as an exterminator, you are taught to never use a dust that is meant to be a desiccant in wet areas. Because, and it's this simple, the ingredients in the desiccant, think of it as like little tiny pieces of glass. And if it is nice and dry, it's fluffy and it can really get underneath your parts of your body to help cut you up and dry you out, right? Well, I'll never forget my mentor from England, who actually used to teach me a lot of this. He said, Matt, if you get the dust wet, what happens when you walk on the sand where it's dry? It gets in between your toes. But if you walk on the sand where it's wet, it's still sand, but because it's wet, it's packed down and it doesn't get in between your toes. So I was like, oh, well, that makes good sense. That's why you don't want to use dust in wet areas. But when we had Dr. Crespo on months ago now, it's weird to have her come back on.
Yeah.
She made, and I'm going to trust her because she's an expert in it, and I would love to learn more about it, that actually using diatomaceous earth in their food helps keep parasites from clinging onto the inside layer of their intestinal system or their digestive system somewhere.
Perhaps, but we're talking about external parasites.
I
here.
understand.
So I want people to be clear on that. Though.
Right, but when someone says put it in with water, I don't know. I don't think so, but maybe they mean put the DE in the water and use it internally, but we are definitely talking about the pest externally.
Right.
If they drink it, that's not going to help at all.
Yeah, that's what I want to be clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
not going to help with these
whether
issues.
or not that helps or not. For the mites that we're talking about external parasites.
Right.
We're not talking about worms and all sorts of.
So think
things.
about it. A lot of us can, we don't see it anymore, but remember flea powder?
Oh yeah.
That stuff works. But
What is that?
it's not fun to breathe in. It's fine to use on the outside, but the problem with desiccants, you breathe that in. I mean, I was just talking to someone. He's a veteran, and he's got holes in his lungs from breathing in all the sand when he was overseas. I mean, you don't want to breathe this dust in. It's not good for you.
I can also say that we'll get into the dust bath later as part of treatment, but as long as you have a dry run, which is great, but I also have a galvanized tub, and you'll see it in some of the photos, which I mix the dirt that's around there, and I take a little bit of DE and I take fireplace ash, and that seems to. And when I freshen that up, they'll go right in there.
They know. Speaking of, so Ingrid just mentioned some pictures. Has anyone ever stolen your work, your pictures? Even though I think Carolina Coops now officially owns this picture, but wouldn't that bother you? I mean, that's a great picture of your chicken, some fluffy butts, happy at Ingrid's chicken coop there.
Yeah. So here is another super common
Scaly leg. Okay, so I'm gonna be. Do you have experience with scaly leg?
Yeah, that is the one that I have had experience with for sure.
All right, so talk to me about this one. I'm gonna be like the listener. I'm not really sure what's going on, but talk to me about it.
And I did buy a huge jug of petroleum jelly at Costco for this. I haven't done it yet, but after this show, I'm sure I will.
Okay, well, so explain it to me. All right, so scaly leg mite.
Easily treated by using petroleum jelly on the legs to suffocate the mites.
Okay, but hold on. Where do we get scaly legs? How do we know we have scaly leg mites?
Well, that's pretty obvious.
No, it's not. We don't know. I have no clue.
No, the resulting infection is obvious. I've never seen the mites themselves, but how they affect the legs is pretty obvious.
Okay, so scaly leg mite, they get underneath the scales, usually of the leg, and you can see it right here in the picture. That's a sign of scaly leg mite, and they should be nice, flat, and smooth. And if not, if they're ruffled and kind of sticking out, that is a sign of scaly leg mite. And then you're saying the treatment is petroleum jelly, and that makes sense because you're going to suffocate them.
Right. I mean, I've dealt with it on a few hens, and I hate to say that I guess I had a lot going on, and I didn't notice that little midge had really bad scaly leg mites. I mean, it was bad. I felt awful. But she's so tiny, it's hard to see her legs sometimes. She's running around and whatever. But it really, really works. Even Dr. Crespo said that because I asked her about it too. And again, 2-week life cycle of the scaly leg mite. So whatever you use to treat it, just make sure that you do it again.
Yes. You got to understand the life cycle because you don't want to, you'll be like, oh God, it didn't work the first time. Well, it's because you didn't break the life cycle. You got to understand the life cycle. All right, so real quick, if you're just joining us, welcome to Video Chicken Live. It is August 5th, 2022. Today is Bug Day. I'm going to do the best I can to help everyone share what I used to do a long time ago, but understand the thought process because there's no magic wand out there. People are like, oh, I don't know what to do. You just got to understand the pest. It always starts with identification. And then from there, and there's all kinds of information online, not saying it's all true, but understand the pest, and I guarantee you understand how to treat it. I notice we're up to 77 listeners, so thank you so much. And I see a lot of comments coming in and possible questions. I'm not sure if you want to take a quick break or you just want to get back to them.
No, we can talk about them.
Yeah, I mean, you're in charge of the show. I'm just making a suggestion.
Well, I think the good thing about scaly leg mites is that I think that's probably one of the
My legs are starting to feel a little scaly.
I know.
I'm over here itching.
It's probably the easiest thing to treat because you can pretty much eradicate it with something like Vaseline
or oil. That reminds
you can use
me.
oil, but keep in mind that that's also going to get on the roost and all that kind of stuff.
That reminds me, I'll never forget doing a farm in Lima, New York, where I used to live my first couple years of my life where I almost died, and that's why we had to move. Thanks, Terry. But anyways, you know the old school trick to get rid of mosquitoes in these ponds and farms?
What?
They dump oil right on,
You
and
said
it'll
that
coat
on
the
top.
surface, and what it does is suffocates the larvae from the mosquitoes, and they can't reproduce. Talk about breaking the metamorphosis cycle.
So someone said, can you mistake a mite for a tick?
Oh, I think a lot of people can. But it's easy to tell the difference.
People are also asking about ants in their house.
Oh my God, I would love to crush that. If you got structural pest control questions, that's what I really love.
Yeah.
Ants,
So,
oh my
how
God,
do you
let's
get
get
to-
going.
and she even
what
said
kind of
question.
ants? Send me some pictures. Oh my gosh.
Julie even started with
I have
question.
photos.
How do you get rid of ants in the kitchen?
Yeah.
I'm
That
worried about
happened-
chemicals where I cook.
That
Oh my
happened
gosh.
at my house, and I was like, "Oh, I got ants," and you like crushed it with your finger and smelled it.
Odorous house ants. Yeah. So
I'm like, what?
I'm positively identifying them.
And then I think it was you that gave me the very best hack that I've passed on to so many people.
What was that? I don't remember.
It was the little cat. The little plastic cartridges that you just leave out where they are, and
Well,
don't take
Okay.
it away.
Yeah, so
you
that's-
leave it there for like a week.
that's the thing I want to explain to people. And like already this morning, one of our customers, a friend of yours who has one of the Carolina coops from a
Yeah.
long time ago, you don't want to cross streams. If you're using okay, in this case, she's using DE, which is going to be a repellent, an irritant, okay? But then we're like, well, you want to switch to borax because it's not working for whatever reason. You don't want to mix the two together because they're going to counteract each other. You don't
Are
use
they?
repellents with non-repellents. Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely. So the same thing with baits. When you are dealing with an ant, okay, maybe you're dealing with ants or your chicken coop. Let's just pretend you are. What makes ants so easy technically to treat, as long as you positively identify, they're all social and they have a job to do. And you're trying to kill one ant technically, and that's the queen. But the ant stays in the colony. Well, the workers, they know where the home is. Put out a bait. Know their favorite kind of bait. Are they looking for sugars? Are they looking for proteins? Depends on the time of year. Whatever. Put out a couple. But don't spray around them. There's so many times we'd go into these apartments and they're putting out ant bait, and then as soon as they see it, ooh, got that one. I'm like, you idiot. You just stopped it from doing what it needed to do, is go back home. So you got to exercise some patience. Now, the reason why I love ants,
I know you were going on and on
Yeah,
about
you really
ants.
just got excited. I
He
mean, your
loves
energy
ants.
level just went up 100
Oh, it
times.
did?
Because they're workers. You said they
I
do
love
the little
ants.
jobs.
they have a job to do. But here's the thing about ants. If you got ants, you got free cleaners.
Yes.
Bugs don't lie. If you got ants, they found a food source. They're cleaning it up for you. The other one was, I used to love people are like, oh, I got ants on my desk. Well, get rid of the food. I don't have food. And I know what they're going to do. They're going to take, oh, here comes Matt the bug guy, hide the food, right? No. So then I go over to the keyboard and I shake it out. And look, crumbs just came out of there. Crumbs come out.
I think
ants
that's
come
hemp.
out. The ants are there for a reason, and you got to positively identify them. Now, you got to be careful. There are some species of ants that are destructive, like carpenter ants. And I can go on and on.
Well, I remember the name of their taro.
Well,
Cartridges.
yes, and taro is a very common over-the-counter ant bait that can work
And,
effectively.
and I love it because you just set it out where you see the ants and you forget about it.
Yes, you need to forget
And
about
then
it.
like a week later,
They're
it's
gone.
all dried up and full of dead ants and your problem's gone.
If you are really looking for, this was my favorite ant bait, and I don't know if it's still on the market. I'll never forget this. It's called Uncle Albert's ant bait. If you are looking for a killer ant bait, the inventor.
That seems like it's just like
I wanted to meet
been
this
taken
guy
off the market.
we need Uncle Matt's.
When this
Ant
inventor came out with Uncle Albert's ant bait from Florida, carpenter ants can be tricky. All right, and again, I don't want to get into it all.
Man, we are on a tangent.
well,
but
I
it is
just-
exciting,
I
isn't
don't-
it?
I don't know if the product is still available, but if you got ants, they're a social insect. You're trying to kill one thing. That's the queen, or you might have multiple queens. And then you got certain ants, especially down. I mean, if you ever heard of pharaoh ants, Ingrid's like, I got these little tiny ants, and she showed me that little tiny ant. I was like, I didn't want to tell her. I was like, there's ants even smaller than that called pharaoh ants, and these were bad in medical places like hospitals and whatnot. You start spraying it, and they bud, they start to split, and it becomes even more of a nightmare. So don't spray around your baits. It's just kind of makes sense. Okay, what happened to the extermination page?
I'm going back.
I don't think I should have any more questions on structural pest control in people's homes until after 1 o'clock.
Way too excited.
Okay, so this was the depluming mite or feather mite. These aren't, I don't think, as common, and you would know if you had that because you would see it would probably it lives on the shaft of the feather, and you would see damage like irritation from them.
So again, they're gonna cling on to the outside of the body, and they're eating probably found a feather, follicles on back, wings, breast, thighs, and vent. Okay, and so they're feeding on dead skin, dead feathers, things, scales off the feathers, dust. Let your chickens do a dust bath. You will control them. If not, if they're able to do it consistently, they'll go away.
And the little not so fun fact I found really gross, but it reminded me of aphids, that they give birth to live young.
Oh,
Which is very unlike,
Oh my God. See, to me, I think that's amazing because it's so uncommon.
Right, like aphids do that.
Oh, I had no idea.
Aphids do that, and that's why when they get on your plant, the little bugs, there's so many of them because the minute they give birth, it's like
I love in the world of reptiles that there's certain reptiles that give live birth.
Yeah.
But I think my reptile, I love live birth. I think that's amazing.
You should be a doula or a midwife.
I don't know what that. Oh,
I love live birth.
it's fascinating when you actually see it in animals that it's not normal. So if I saw
so
live,
they don't lay eggs, and I just thought that was an interesting fact, because most insects lay eggs.
Okay.
So
all right, moving on. It's already 12:41. We haven't gotten through the mites yet.
Well, we did. Now we're going to lice.
Okay, louse. What was that song? Oh, Nan, if you can cue up that song. There was an old school retro club song, psychedelic song, had something to do with louse of the human body. Do you remember it? This is going to bring back so many great memories of the 90s.
So
I want to say it was called Crab Louse. It was a psychedelic band, 90.5 out of Rochester, WBER. Oh my God, that would be awesome if someone could find that song.
If it's what I think it is, it might have some bad lyrics.
Well, of course it does. All right, anyways, lice.
Lice. So how are lice and mites different?
Well, it depends on the type of mite. I would have to say there's a lot of similarities of lice compared to certain species of mites. And then it's going to be the opposite of like the roost mite. Because lice, if I remember correctly, they're also going to feed from the outside parts of your body. And you got to treat them directly. They're not going to be sucking your blood, right? If I remember correctly, I don't think lice have piercing, sucking mouth parts. I think they have chewing mouth parts. So it's just going to be a different type of, and it's going to be an insect, not an arachnid.
Right.
And you're probably going to be larger. And actually, you can see some pictures here. But it's going to be an ectoparasitic type insect.
Right.
And you're just going to have to treat the outside.
Right.
And I would have to say the best prevention is going to be allowing your chickens to have a proper dust bath.
So it's one louse and multiple are lice.
Yes, that's what I said.
Okay.
Did I
just
not?
wanted to clarify.
It's like
what
mice.
was that song?
Mouse and mice.
God, it was such a great song back in the day.
So here's just other like honorable mentions.
Oh, other external parasites: fleas, ticks, bed bugs, bot fly. Oh my God, I
Just
saw
the
the
larva though. You corrected me on the bot fly and the,
bot fly larva.
And because I had bot fly and boat fly, and you're like, no, this isn't considered a parasite. Remember, we had this whole discussion. Anyway.
Oh, so much fun.
I saw a video of, God, I love TikTok. I'm into these like pimple popping and cysts.
Ugh.
And then, of course, there's the bot fly. And it's fascinating because you see the little tiny hole, and it was right on the dude's lip, and you put oil over it to suffocate. It's like, hey, dude, I can't breathe. Get me out of here, right? And then it gets out a little bit, and I don't know if it's its head or sometimes a lot of insects breathe through back parts of their body, and then it comes out a little bit enough, and they go in and they start pulling it out, and it's just like you talk about live birth. It's like this larva's giving live birth through this lip. Oh, it was crazy. Of course,
right, I'm gonna throw up.
Well, I had to show Nan.
Yeah,
hey, you guys make me eat some things,
we
and
need
you're
to do
gonna
that
tell me you
again.
can't handle a little bit of life.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
not life, larva.
bot fly
coming
is
out of people's skin.
It's
That's
something that's
disgusting.
very real.
I saw it on a dog.
Yeah, you can have it on a dog. Obviously, you can have it on chickens. Again, positive ID. So bed bugs, I would not be surprised if people have had issues with bed bugs and chickens. But I can tell you right now, if you are traveling Every hotel in America now officially has bed bugs, without a doubt.
Oof.
Don't
I've
go in your.
located the song.
You have what? Hold on.
I love this song.
This is gonna bring back some memory. Are you gonna? I think she's gonna try to play it. This is old school. But anyways, meanwhile, if you go into your hotel room, check your headboard, check underneath the tufts of your mattress. Yeah, you remember this?
Oh yeah.
Huh? Oh yeah, on the way to school with your friends. It's a little smoky in the car. My dad's like, "Oh God, you kids." Okay, that's
So
good.
it's about lice?
Yeah, it's called crab loss. Anyway, I don't know why I remember these
Oh,
things.
yeah.
You know, the 90s. Ingrid's like, how's an 80s baby?
It was so awesome.
I wish I was an 80s baby.
No?
Never mind.
Really? Ingrid is doing so well then. You got the best job in the world, it must be. Okay, moving on. So bed bug, just check. Bed bugs are a nightmare. And then of course ticks. Someone was asking, can you tell the difference between a tick and a mite? The ticks are gonna be a lot bigger, especially as adults.
And I don't think that that's a huge problem for chickens.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it would
I've
be.
never
Or
seen them.
fleas.
Yeah, they
But I guess these are all. See, fleas, ticks, bed bugs, botfly. They're all.
Oh my God! Did you not
Sorry.
silence your
You know,
stuff?
I've had a busy morning today.
I love it when we can rag him on that.
Yeah, I tell you, the
know.
best thing I ever does is introduce radios out there. All of a sudden, I can hear all the questions going on. And people aren't walking around talking. Anyways, to each other, face to face. Okay, so yeah,
All right,
parasites.
we're gonna move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
So if I can summarize,
Please.
all of this can be helped or eradicated with a proper dust bath.
Yeah.
So here I have a little treatment thing
Oh.
here.
Oh,
Oh,
great.
of course she does.
Oh.
This was Ingrid in school. Oh, well, by the way, here comes my extra points teacher. in
No,
class.
and I was definitely not that kid that said, "Oh, can we do this for extra credit?" I was not.
Well, here's your chance.
But I did do things ahead of time. I didn't do it the morning it was due.
Oh, I'm a
Yeah.
very good procrastinator.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know.
So this is just prevention is easier than treatment. Just like it is
Yes.
with anything. Like
Yes.
with heartworm with your dogs, whatever it is.
And-
It's always easier to prevent. than
Yes, and
treat.
the dust bath is prevention too. Let's be clear about that. It's not. It can react, but it's also a great way to prevent.
And
Yes.
it's what nature intended, right?
Yes.
I mean, we're not fighting nature. It
Right.
goes along with
We
instincts.
change nature because of our chicken coops in this case. But this is
Yeah.
why I always say, what did chickens do before coops were invented? If we don't go back to that, we're going to go down the wrong path. And that's what happened with factory farming. We changed what chickens did naturally. But we can be smart and have that perfect marriage between human and chicken. And make sure that there's a reason why you want a solid roof run. You're going to want to make sure if you're not free ranging that they have everything that they need as if they were in nature. So,
And I didn't mention the dust bath on here just because it was on the previous
Right.
the previous slide. So yes, and I will get to that later as well.
So DE in the dust bath. Oh, you're gonna get back to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't.
well, hold
there
on.
for
We didn't get to all. Hold on. What was that?
the prep. Yeah, and we have
Roost mites will live in cracks and crevices,
We
so
have-
you will
we
need to
have,
spray, treat, and clean there. Yes, you need to treat there.
podcast listeners, so we want to make sure we read everything.
Thank you. Linseed oil in the cracks can work as it smothers the mites.
Yeah, I had read that.
So, like, I may not want to go out there and look at the vent and pull back feathers and go out in the middle of the night and check for roost mites, or maybe I do. But if I happen to have a busy week and I don't do this, can I just do prevention?
Well, in this case with mites, the dust bath is prevention.
Okay. Do I need to go out and spray the roosts or?
No, you
anything like
don't. No,
that?
I am a fan of.
I do have this Elector PSP.
I am a fan of pesticides as a last resort. We were taught integrated pest management. It's a systematic approach. You start with prevention, which is sanitation.
But we're
and-
not sanitizing the coop because it's a set it
But
forget it, right?
okay, I'm just using sanitation is a very general term, especially when we
Okay.
get into flies. And in a way, the deep litter system, even though we're having to have a year's worth of chicken crap, you even yourself
Yes,
have
that's right.
identified recently how it prevented flies.
Yeah, that was a real eye opener for me this spring.
So Elector PSP, did you see that? I noticed I didn't sound as good, so I came into the mic.
I see.
See how that
I
works?
see. And just to recap, what I noticed this spring is my temporary chicken pen for the young spring chicks, the teenagers, had horrible flies. It was a temporary pen, and it was just awful. And then, but the chicken coops had deep litter, there were no flies. So
people keep asking about this Saturday lime.
Yeah, I already contacted them. I think if they don't get back to me, I'll just buy it and give it a little
I bet
test.
Carolina Coops will buy that for you.
Of course. All right, treatment for mites and lice. Okay, chickens need to take dust baths and preen their feathers. This by far is the best method for dealing with mites and lice on your birds. Yeah, I agree. It's crucial to have a dry run for your birds to dust bath. Period, and then an and?
And
Oh, no, hold on. Is that correct grammar?
you can do that.
You
at
can't
times.
start a sentence with and.
You can.
Look it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, the hell you don't.
You see me twitching?
Look at it. That's driving you nuts right now. That is
Well, I
driving.
don't even have a period at the end of the sentence, but just in case you wanted to know, I used to write for the news, so
Is that I was
I
told
probably
you
wouldn't
can
have done that for the news, but
But we can for video chicken. I was told you can never start a sentence with and.
never say never.
And you can provide a separate dust bath area filled with dirt, DE, and fireplace ash.
Yes. Yes.
And I've noticed sometimes that the chickens will direct you to where they want a dust bath. You may set up what you think is the most fantastic dust bath ever, and they're over there underneath something else making their own.
You know, listening to everything we're talking about, one of the thoughts that comes into my mind is one of the best preventions of a lot of things, a lot of problems you can have with your chickens, not just pests. Free ranging this is just another reason why free ranging can be so important.
If you're okay with the risk tolerance.
Right. But I know people are going to be like, well, what about bird flu and avian flu? We just talked about that.
Well, I was seasonal this year.
Treatment for mites and lice. Okay, so we're going on. I'm getting bored. I want to get back to
All right, well,
ants in the
I
house.
just-
I'm not getting bored.
I
I'm
just want
getting
people to
into
know
this.
that there is chemical stuff that you can use, but like the Elector PSP, which has no egg withdrawal, which is great. I would think permethrin, if you treat your chickens, you probably have to withdraw eggs for a certain amount of time. But like Matt said, only use it as directed on the label. Don't just off-label stuff and be like, "Well, my chickens would be fine."
That's very important. And more does not always mean better. More does not mean better. Trust me, I've learned that firsthand. Okay, finally, something a little bit more fun. Houseflies, Musca domestica. Am I correct?
Oh, I didn't do the botanical.
Fun
name.
fact: how do you tell the difference between a male and female housefly? Does anyone know the answer to that without cheating? Why I had to learn this, I don't know. But
Do you treat them differently?
no,
If
I
they're
treat them
male or
all this.
female?
I am non-discriminatory in my killing days.
we
So
have
then
to
why
look-
do you need to know?
I
Yeah,
don't. I'm
do we-
sure there was a reason.
Do you have
and-
to look at their private parts?
Do you ever smell mothballs?
Oh God! See,
No.
and I knew that. All right, we're 12 now.
Rick
Okay,
Ruby
house-
would be so proud.
House flies. Okay, everyone's got house flies. It's easy to identify house flies. I'm going to assume you probably have a great picture of it, but flies are attracted to poop.
Now we're back to the
And
cartoon
decompo-
Bitmoji pictures.
Yes.
And decomposing food through smell. Common fixes include fly. Well, hold on.
Wait, read the whole sentence. Common fixes include fly traps, which only work to attract more flies.
Oh, see?
So
Very
you have
good.
to read the whole thing. You can't.
Does that sound familiar? Yes, sorry. The deep litter method helps reduce flies because it masks the odor and doesn't allow for moisture for flies to reproduce. Well done, Ingrid.
Yeah.
Yes. Prevention, yes. If, again, bugs don't lie. If you got certain flies in your area, they're not there to say hi. They're not there to hang out. Figure out what the fly is. And I mean, there's a difference between fruit flies now. A lot of people are like, oh, fruit flies, oh, I must have fruit. No, not necessarily the case. They're there for a reason. Figure out why they're there. Eliminate why they're there. The flies will go away. But you're right. That drives me nuts. People love fly traps, and they'll put them like right where they are. Oh, that's a good idea. I wonder why there's more flies all of a sudden.
And I can tell you that those things stink when they fill up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's
yeah,
awful.
I tried
It's-
them. Yeah, there was a bad idea. It just made
Oh, it's awful.
it so we couldn't even go outside. It's like that smell is awful.
So somebody asked, Eddie said, Matt, tell me about carpenter bees. He said after the show, but other people had mentioned about carpenter bees drilling holes.
Yes. Oh, I love carpenter bees. I will cut to that. I mean, well, and there's been people with potential carpenter bees in their coop.
Right.
So it's not going to bother the chickens. If anything, they might try to eat them. Carpenter bees are fascinating, by the way.
You're getting excited again.
Oh my gosh. Never
I
mind.
like them too.
Okay,
though.
well, let's get to carpenter bees maybe a little bit later on, especially if you got.
So what about the houseflies? If we not.
Well, I'm waiting for Ingrid
we've
to.
got
Well, there
more.
is nothing. There's just
That's
they're
it?
not. They're not a huge pest. If you
They
have
really
them.
aren't.
Okay, so
So-
we're not going to use fly traps.
Here's what we have to
We're
understand.
going to use deep litter, and actually, this says to treat. This is good for agricultural flies.
Okay.
So
Hold on.
I don't know
I
if
moved
you
on
would
to mice.
No,
use
no. Well,
this or
hold on.
not.
We got to understand the,
The
pest.
Elector PSP
Now,
is
there
what
are,
I'm holding.
Do you know one of the most common flies that bite?
Biting flies?
Mosquitoes. A lot of people don't
Oh.
realize mosquitoes are actually a fly. They only have 2 wings. But not all flies bite, and some do. So a housefly doesn't. Okay.
Right.
Do you know what their mouth part looks like? This is important.
No.
No. The
No?
antennae.
No, and like little.
No.
No.
Um, Sponging siphon. Sponging siphoning mouth part. They have a tube. At the end of the tube is a straw. So the only way they can eat is to suck up liquids. Okay, so if you got a food source, it's a really wet, liquidy food source. Okay, so when they go to eat in these nasty areas, I want you to think about this. And they're eating it, and they're also picking up the other bacteria and things that are also in this nasty sanitation area. And then when they go to fly away and they land on your table where you're eating or whatnot, a lot of times they have to kind of blow the food back up and soften it and suck it back in to really get it down.
So they're like regurgitating.
Oh my! I used to see this on video, and it's disgusting. And this is why, like, when you go into restaurants that have a lot of houseflies, or bottle flies, blowflies, the same exact thing. It is nasty. Flies.
So what can we do about that?
Well, okay, so eliminating the breeding source, which is also their food source, that's why they're there. Now, a lot of times, if you have a bad area, I mean, I can think of there's so many different situations. Like in our farm in New York, we're right next to an Angus farm, and I give them a lot of credit for the amount of cows they have. There's not nearly as many flies as you would think. But one of the best things you do, flies hate wind. And a lot of times what we would do in these restaurants is put in fans at the outdoor seating area just to push the flies away. What a great solution. No chemicals, no high repellents, but you don't want it so windy that you're like, your food's blown away. But it worked, even with mosquitoes.
I was going to say it works for mosquitoes too.
Yep.
It's great.
And I have a great thing too for mosquitoes. I don't know if we're going to be talking about mosquitoes, but.
So Mike Trapp, our friend, says
Yes.
the product that you were mentioning, Uncle Albert's, this product has been discontinued from the manufacturer. Like, not
Thank you,
surprising.
Mike.
As an alternative, we recommend gourmet and bait gel that has the same active ingredients as Uncle Albert's.
Well, see, there's the problem, though.
Gourmet.
The active ingredient might be great, but a lot of times the active ingredient doesn't get to do its job without the inner ingredients. The ingredients to say, hey, come with me, I'm going to take you places, but when you get there, you got to do the job. Uncle Albert's, we would put this bait out as a gel, as a syringe. We would put it out, I kid you not, within seconds. Whatever was in it, Carpenter ants were on it immediately. And to a bug guy, that is amazing they can be tough. So that sucks. Uncle Albert's was the stuff.
You need to come out with Uncle Matt's.
No, I'm not a scientist. I mean, these guys really get into their stuff. I don't really get into it.
Oh yeah, right.
So it's 1:00. We're moving to mammals, or
Okay.
other non.
Oh my God, it is 1:00 already.
Yes.
Okay. House mouse. Musculus? Right? I hope people are... Okay, the deer mouse. Okay, big difference. Nice picture. Okay, the deer mouse. If you got deer mice inside your house, there's a big problem because they don't want to be inside. Notice on the deer mouse the big eyes, the big ears, and the white belly. It's a hantavirus. Deer mice are big with the hantavirus. You want to be real careful you got deer mice around. But the house mouse, oh yeah, they love us. They love our homes.
Those are the ones you'll see in your feed bags and stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
cereal
too,
and
right?
grains. Yes, mice. Well, I don't want to be wrong, but I can definitely speak for the house mouse. They'll eat everything and anything, but their preferred food source, and this is so important if you're dealing with mice, their preferred food source is cereal and grains. Now, I've never heard of the white-footed mouse, so you got me on that one.
Yeah, it's very similar to the deer mouse.
Okay.
And it actually, I thought maybe it was very regional, but it turns out it's all the way from Alberta, Canada to Mexico and all in the United States. So they're very similar, same type of habits and habitat and tick carrying type of things.
Yeah,
So,
don't screw up the difference between a mouse and a mole, a vole, and a shrew.
no, I know.
So different. So different. But anyway, so I love this. Mice can fit through a 1/4-inch opening. So yes, what we used to do is we'd take our pen or pencil, and I'd say, that's probably a little bit bigger than a 1/4-inch. The only hard part in their body is their skull. So if they can fit their skull through, the rest of them are fitting through. So if you could fit a number 2 pencil, just a regular pencil, you could fit that through a hole, a mouse will get through. Wait till I tell you about rats.
Yeah, that's next. The water thing. Go ahead, read this over for people on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm trying to get you. I'm
yes.
pausing
Mice,
to bring you
okay.
in.
They can survive over a month without water. They don't like the cold. They have weak eyesight, but other senses are highly acute.
Oh, yeah, they are.
They are acrobatic and great climbers and love to explore.
God, do I wish smartphones were out back in my day. I always said, especially when I worked in D.C., I could have started my own reality show. It would blow your guys' minds. Oh, my God, especially D.C. Chinatown, when it rained in Chinatown, all you could smell was rodent urine. It was that bad. I'm not exaggerating. Anyways.
I just found it fascinating that they can survive over a month without water.
Mice can. Yes, that
mice.
is so true.
That's fascinating to me.
Yeah, and their territory is not very far. And because they can go so long without water, or they can actually technically get enough moisture through their food, depending on what they're eating, that they can live on a pallet. And that was a big deal in warehouses. Their territory was not very big. So what
do we do about them?
Well, prevention. Okay, so we're going to identify them. Okay, we have a house mouse. They have to eat. So you have to make sure that you are eliminating the reason why they're there, and that is to eat. Okay? Now, the other thing about the house, so cereals and grains. So, okay, an example. One of the things we love about our Craftsman coops, or when we're advising people what to put your chicken feed in, because that's mostly cereal and grain, is those aluminum cans. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
It's just you got to prevent them from having an easy food source. The other thing is not giving them an easy area to live. But because their territory is not very big, they are going to try to live or want to live around that food source. So eliminate the food source or make it very difficult for them to get to. You will really nip the problem in the bud when it comes to mice. They don't like the cold. That is so true. When we had to deal with mice in structural pest control, you looked up, not nine times out of 10, because it's always warmer. And we would just take bait and broadcast it. I'm sure it was illegal, you could annihilate mice. Now I'm going to give you another little pro tip for anyone that's dealing with mice. The best way to reduce the population through the use of a rodenticide. Oh, it just slipped me. It'll come to me. I'll text a buddy of mine. There is a rodenticide that came out towards the end of my career. Oh, they couldn't resist it. And it's a soft bait. Because that's the other thing, too. When you're baiting for rodents, you got to understand you got competition. You got to eliminate what they really want, because they'll be picky. They'll go for the steak instead of the French fry. And a lot of rodenticides are wax-based. So who wants to really eat wax? Even the mice are like, oh, this sucks, but I'm going to go for that steak that just got thrown out. There's a new soft bait they could not resist. And when it comes to, again, baiting for mice, you got to make sure you put it in between wherever their food source is that they've learned. Gosh, I can go on and on. Here's the other thing about mice, especially when we compare to rats. Mice are very curious creatures. So that's why snap traps can work really well for mice, not so much for rats. They're very curious creatures, but their eyesight sucks. So they do a lot of their moving around by leaving urine trails. And they actually see by feeling with their whiskers and certain hairs on their body. So these are all, oh my God, when we would go into, this was so gross. I'll never forget. I was doing a high school, right? And I'm up in the warehouse behind the kitchen where they store their food. And I was smart enough to bring a blacklight with me because I knew I was about to walk into, because they weren't happy, this and that. So I'm with these, picture the old kitchen lunch ladies, right? And we're up in this loft, and I said, kill the lights. And they're like, what's going on here, man? I said, just trust me. We turn the lights off. I turn on the black light, and I'm like, we can see right where they're going, and you could follow the urine trails. And of course, I'm like, and right down to the railing. The lady had her hand on a railing, right where it was right on rodent urine. I'll just never forget it. But anyways, and of course, they were up high. They were up in the loft where it was warm. Oh, such good days.
All right, here's
good
Matt's
days.
favorite slide.
Oh, it is?
This one.
I don't know. Oh, okay. The Norway rat. Yeah.
Which
rat.
I object to that name too.
Norway rat?
Well, being Norwegian, I find
Rattus norvegicus.
I know, but I feel like
they come from that part of the world.
they came from England.
Well, yes, Well, back then, if you really think about how it was all one, but they come from grassy plains. They don't come from the trees like the roof rat does that a lot of our customers out and viewers listening to us out in California, maybe even Florida if I remember correctly. But Norway rats, yes, this is the rat that you see in the cities. It's not a sewer rat, common rat, brown. No, it's a Norway rat is the proper common name, Rattus norvegicus. And look, it's so cute. So you can tell a Norway rat, little blunt nose. Okay, short, stocky, you know, it's like Gus Gus, right? On Cinderella.
If Gus were a rat.
Even though Gus Gus was a mouse, thank you before people beat me up on that, but just short, fast, short tail. The easiest way to identify a Norway rat, especially if you find dead ones, you take the tail and you flip it up over its back, and if the tail does not go past its head, it's a Norway rat, and typically it'll just come up to the back of their head. But a roof rat, they're long and slender. You know, they got to be climbers. They got to be, you know, really agile up in the trees. So you take the tail, which they need a lot for climbing and balancing. You take that and it goes up over past their head. And that's important because if you're dealing with a rat situation, you got to understand the enemy, okay? So Norway rats, just like mice, they love cereal and grains. Roof rats love fruits and vegetables. And if you think about it, because roof rats come from the tropics up in the jungle forest, they're going to eat fruits and vegetables. It's just that simple.
I'm getting it now. You have to understand the pest.
Jeez, it's just that simple.
He may have mentioned that before.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Oh, are you picking on me now, or was that a good moment?
No, it was good. It's
okay.
Good. It's all good.
It doesn't matter.
They can fit through a 1/2-inch opening. Yes. Again, just like mice, the only hard part of their body is their skull. And if they can fit their skull through, they can fit the rest of their body through.
It's like cats with their whiskers. It's like their whiskers are supposedly to identify the width of what something they can get through.
Really?
I like cats.
Yeah,
that's why you don't have mice. Probably.
Yeah, I don't even see those brought in.
Transmit diseases by droppings in urine, bites, and through the fleas and mites on their. Yeah, we all know about fleas. Was the Black Plague? Mm-hmm. You know, they're a host. They carry. Oh my God! Again, going back, DC was the worst. I tell you, I was grateful to be an exterminator in DC.
I don't know how you ever eat in a restaurant knowing what you know.
If something fell on the floor in DC,
can I give a shout out? I got the funniest story that I'm not going to get into about a doctor asking me where not to eat, and then he performed a examination. He goes, "You'll tell me where not to eat now." Anyways. I will never forget.
Sounds a little personal.
I would love to give a shout out because I got to see a lot of things. And there is a restaurant chain that is spotless. And there's a lot of good ones out there. There's a lot of bad ones.
This is probably old information.
This is, I'll guarantee you, still true today.
Okay, go ahead.
You would never think of this restaurant being by far the cleanest. And if they even got below, I think if they lost 2 points, the general manager, restaurant manager was terminated. No questions asked. They didn't mess around.
Wow.
And their practices to clean out their kitchen was perfect because they can move everything. They could get underneath it. Like they just did everything perfect. Any guesses?
Waffle House.
Chuck E. Cheese.
No.
That is, in my opinion, the cleanest kitchens I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of them.
But the dining room is disgusing because there's a bunch of kids running around.
And their pizza was disgusting. I told my kids it was called Chunky Cheese, and they were like, "No, we don't want to go to Chunky Cheese." So I never had to endure it.
Chuck E. Cheese's, yeah. I loved doing their plate because they were just, I'm telling you, amazing.
I'm really disappointed.
Why? And disappointed in what?
That the cleanest restaurant is one that we don't want to go to.
Yeah, and I can tell you, there's some you do not want to eat at. But anyways,
even if my kids were that age, I wouldn't want to go there.
Right. No, why not give a shout out? They deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. Okay.
So they're omnivores.
Yes.
Norway rats. And
yes.
They'll eat any type of food and require 1/2 to 1 fluid ounce of water daily.
So important. Okay, so yes, they are opportunistic feeders, but they prefer cereal and grains. They have to drink water every day.
Yeah. So you will find that if there's no water around, you won't find them. Like with mice, but they have to be close to a water source.
Right.
And they have a strong sense of smell.
Oh, extremely. Oh, yeah, because their eyesight sucks. But they can feel where they're going at night because of the vibrissae, I think they were called, certain hairs on their body. Anyways, here's the thing about rats, especially because I know this is a chicken show and a chicken coop show. And we have dealt with rat situations when we've come into people's homes to redo their chicken coop or eliminate their old chicken coop, give them a new one. We as human beings actually give mice and rats the perfect homes when you really think about it. And I've seen it so many times, especially with sheds that sit right on the ground, All right, not on a concrete slab, even though they can definitely burrow underneath the concrete slab. They love it when you got the decking and you got the hollow spots in between the floor joists right on the ground. They love that. It just makes it so much easier for them to have a home that they don't have to keep up on the roof. Same thing if you're driving around. I don't want to say the name. Let's just say you're driving through a drive-through and you see a lot of those bushes or shrubbery where it's really low to the ground, and you got the, so you can see the menu and whatnot. The root systems is amazing. Locking in the soil that the rats would constantly live underneath those areas. So you're going through these drive-thrus at night. If you were looking, knew what you're looking for, you can see rats in the holes all the time. Here's the thing about rats. If you're dealing with rats, again, with a chicken coop or whatever, rats are neophobic. You know what that means?
No.
Yes, you do.
They're afraid of new things.
Fear of the new.
Huh.
So that makes it very difficult for dealing with rats. Mice, you can put out some glue boards and some snap traps. Again, there's so many pro tips we could get into, and you'll catch them immediately because they're curious. Rats,
Curiosity killed the cat.
you got to be patient. You have to understand rats are neophobic, so you put anything new out in their environment, they're not going to go to it right away. Unless they're desperate and you're able to eliminate their water source. So there was a great bait, I doubt it's still around, we used to use called Liquitox, and I got the bright idea. I would go get hamster bottles, fill it up with Liquitox, label it properly, thank you, and put it right where I knew they were going with a black light. And you talk about urine pillars, because they're constantly urinating, communicating where to go. Oh, nasty, tall.
Did that work?
Oh, when I would have a customer call, go, my God, Matt, it stinks in here. What are you going to do about it? I said, I guess my job's done. The smell of success.
Was it dead rats or just the urine?
Dead rats.
Oh.
Oh, you can tell a dead smell. Oh, you can't miss a dead body smell. Oh, it is the worst. So they're neophobic, but yes, they need to drink water every day. And here's the other thing about rats that can make it difficult, especially if you have rats at your chicken coop. Their territory is pretty big. And with mice, it's going to be in a small little area. You can deal with it on your own property most of the time. Rats, your rats might be living at your neighbor's house because they have the perfect shed and they're underneath it. And again, because rats are neophobic, you got to understand their patterns. They'll use the same runways. And you can see them when you know what you're looking for, but you might be giving them the food source. But if you eliminate the food source, they're just going to go somewhere else, but you can't really eliminate the food altogether because you got to feed your chickens, right? Or you want to put your table scraps out in the run. You got to get to where they're living and eliminate that. And not to mention, too, when you do go to react and bait them, you want to get as close to home as possible.
Are they nocturnal?
Yes.
Same with the mice,
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, my God. Ed, I wish I had a smartphone back in the day.
Yeah, the grandpa feeder might be helpful, right?
Yeah.
We had a customer recently. We got an amazing video coming out. I guess we're not going to bring it out until we're all done when we build her coop.
Is it feral?
Paul filmed it. Ingrid didn't.
Oh, that's why I'm looking at
them
me.
too.
Yeah, okay. They had the grandpa's feeder. They didn't like it. I'm curious if anybody out there has had any.
Beth Farrell has one too.
Okay.
We're going to do her chicken coop in Apex.
And I don't know if she said they just could not train her chickens to use that grandpa's feeder. And that's the first I've ever heard of that. But I want to say, in theory, it's a great idea, great concept, great product to make it difficult for the rodents to get to the food source.
Right.
Did I tell you this morning the girls saw a big garter snake outside? Gus stepped right on its head.
Oh, boy.
Snakes are considered pests because they will eat the chicken eggs and baby chicks. Snakes come to your coop in search of food, such as rodents, shelter, or water. Most snakes are very beneficial to your garden.
I had to put that in there.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Juvenile snakes can fit through the half-inch openings, can be chicken food. Okay. Right. Yes. And you got a great video. Do you have that?
I don't have it pulled
Oh,
up.
I thought for sure you would for extra credit.
No.
So this is very important.
I had enough pests and bugs this week for me, so I wasn't going to do anything extra.
It just occurred to me, I'm surprised. We got all kinds of props in here. We got the roost bars, the chicken nipples, things like that. I don't have a piece of half-inch hardware cloth, but people ask all the time, what about snakes? Great question. And I tried to explain last time that if you take an egg and divide it into thirds, if the snake's largest body is 2/3 of that egg, they can eat it. Okay. But that means the snake is too big to fit through the half-inch by half-inch hardware cloth. But when your coop's sitting on the ground, and if you got little openings, say rats are digging underneath and getting through there and they created runways or whatever, the snake will find that and they will get in. You got to make sure the snakes cannot get in. They will not get through the 1/2-inch hardware cloth that are big enough to eat the eggs. The juveniles will. And I've always tell people that's free chicken feed.
Yep.
And you did something with the roof ridge now, right?
We
the ridge
did.
cap.
We discovered, we're always trying to make sure we make the best coop for the best price. We don't want to keep adding to it. And, I know there's a lot of people like, gosh, man, this is such an expensive coop. Well, there's no such thing as a cheap coop. But we ended up adding what we call the ridge cap screen because I think once or twice we had a customer with a coop in the woods, which I love, they had a black snake come down from the trees and fall onto the roof and get underneath the ridge cap and get in. So it was not a predator to the chickens, but it was to the eggs. And so we've just included that ridge cap screen ever since. Yeah.
Sorry.
So, it's real simple. Snakes. Well, you want to prevent, if you got snakes on your property, the easiest way to prevent snakes is don't give them a place to live. Stacked rocks, stacked firewood.
I can't. I gotta stop with these copperheads. I've had four times that my dogs got bitten in the face within a year.
Really?
Yeah.
So they're living somewhere. Snakes love, and they can hang out for a long time. That doesn't take them much.
Yeah. Did these bites happen at the same place in your yard? Or do you know?
No. Well, 2 were probably in like brush in the back or whatever. Millie found them. Like it's always Friday night because I have to go to the emergency room. It's always about 8:39. So it's like clockwork. Like I'm paranoid every time I go out there. Twice.
That's when they're going to start coming out to
right.
feed.
And I think they just were passing through, and she just sees the movement, and she just goes after them. But one time they were on the patio. That was like in October because it was a warm night, and they were just like, Sean says, I can't believe I didn't step on it. It was like right curled up in the patio. And this last time with Murphy, I think, again, it was on the patio, and he probably just went over and sniffed it because he's friends of other animals, but he sniffed it, and I didn't even know it until after he came in, and he was acting weird, and then I saw the swelling, and I just figured it out. But I just don't know why there's, like, we went for 5 years with no snakes on our property, and now, like, in 1 year, I've had 4 times.
I will guarantee you there's a great home nearby. They're reproducing. They're going to increase in population. You got to figure out where they're living. Now, there are products that
snake away. Is that sulfur powder or something?
Yeah. Crystallized lime is what comes to my mind. So I guess that's like a sulfur or something like that. But the thing about snake aways or snake repellents is you got to use them in the right time of year because you could actually trap these snakes around your home if you use it at the wrong time of year.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No.
Yeah, there's a company in Chapel Hill called I Must Garden that have these different, like, more natural type repellents. But the thing is that putting it out now, we have all this torrential rain and these granular things are like with that much light rain would be okay, but a lot of rain that we've been having, it's just throwing your money away. But anyway.
All right, so it is 1:18 already. I can't believe it. This has been bug day. I hope this has worked. I tell you, I was stressing about this because it's been so long since I've been in this industry. But if you guys have taken anything away from this, if you got a pest, identify it, learn about it, and then you can figure out what to do. The takeaway. Wow, right on cue.
Summary page. And these are fantastic pictures.
Yes, of course.
Ingrid is the bomb.
Yeah.
Like, what would we be doing without her?
I do have nightmares about that, to be honest with you. It scares me. Prevention is the key. Yes, prevention. But you got to know what to do to prevent. So you got to know what is it. You got to know your enemy. You got to know your pest. Make sure your chickens have a way to dust bath. Yeah, I tell you, a lot of things that we talked about, especially with the mites, that's why they're dust bathing. They're not trying to clean themselves in a way like we do when we take a shower. They're actually getting rid of these parasites or clinging onto the outside of them. So make sure they have a good dust bath. Don't overcrowd your flock or coop. Yeah.
Because one thing, you want your chickens to be healthy. If they're healthy, then they can combat any kind of parasite and mite that lives, because they're just there.
Right.
And they can deal with it better. But if they're overcrowded and stressed or whatever, then things like that can get out of control easily. They're more susceptible.
Another good reason why the coop to chicken ratio is so
Yep.
important. When your chickens get stressed, they are not going to be able to yeah, exactly what Ingrid said. Excellent point. Don't give rodents a reason to come to your coop. Yes. Don't make it easy for them to live. Don't make it easy for them to eat. It's just that simple. If possible, use a deep litter method. You want to talk about a fly prevention, the deep litter method, because it masks the smell, and the flies don't smell it. They don't know to go there.
Yeah, the only times like when you were at my house, it's the flies are on like the watermelon that I put out for them, but they're not in
right because the
hen
watermelon's wet. They have to have wet food. If you tried to eat your food sucking through a straw, and the end of that straw is a sponge, think about that. That's how these flies eat.
Oh well,
sponging, sucking mouth part. God, someone looked at. I hate that I can't remember these terms.
Another takeaway for the flies is to only put, if you're putting out compost or kitchen scraps or whatever, only put out what they're going to eat in a day.
Yes.
Yep.
Just like feeding fish. Don't overfeed them, or you're going to.
Otherwise you're going to have the flies.
Yep.
So this is when I said dusting chickens. This is what I was thinking of. What I was referring to, the garden pest and livestock dust, but I don't know what it is. I might have said 7. People are commenting on the 7, but this is really what I was referring to, and I guess they're not the same thing. But I was wondering if this is safe. It says safe on chickens, but is this the
And then the other big question is, the active. I always like to know the active ingredient.
Right, so telling me what
do you
it
gotta
is.
do egg removal? Is the thing we always ask.
Yeah, and
that's
you see it at the farm store.
It's
the
121.
poultry dust.
I want to get to the questions and comments. 84 people watching. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday. It's August 5th. We are live. Today was the Bug Show. And I would love to do this again. I tell you, I always wanted to start my own business where I could be a consult with an unbiased opinion. I tell you, if you have a bug problem, a rodent problem, whatever, pest problem, and you call up those companies, they are trained to sell you their service based on your fear.
Oh, it's that. It's 25%.
Permethrin.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very common active ingredient. It must be darn near harmless because that active ingredient has been around for so long.
I think it's made out of dandelions or something.
that's
or
pyrethrin.
Oh,
right.
okay.
We had this whole
Pyrethrin is made from a chrysanthemum, Florida, flower grown in Kenya, Africa. And then the pyrethroid is a synthetic version.
Would that be?
Yeah.
I think they might.
Everything, it all depends on how you use it. That's the other thing. People got to understand, things are safe. It's the person behind the trigger, if you will. That's what you got to worry about. This is not hurting us right now, right?
Right.
Okay. You decide to drink it. Guess what? Now it's harmful. Don't drink it. Things can be used if used correctly, and there can be huge benefits. But if you don't understand what it is you're trying to accomplish and target, you're going to have problems. All right, let's get to the questions and comments.
Well, somebody says it's safe to put in a dust bath, but that's just a comment. I don't know if that's true.
So James Miller says fly traps are great because they make great snacks for your ladies. And I don't know because there isn't a lure. There's something that's in there that's a.
Yeah, there's an attractant to say, hey, come in here for a great food source, but there could be also something in there that kills them real quick.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that just because I don't know what chemicals they're using to attract.
Oh my gosh, here's another one. Speaking of flies, I just want to mention this. These are things people just don't know any better. There is a product I see in restaurants all the time called, I'm going to get sued, I don't care, called Hot Shot. All right. Well, Hot Shot's a brand, but it looks like you've all seen them. It's a rectangular white grid-looking thing with a yellow thing inside.
Okay.
All right. And you hang them. And it's actually a fumigant. And when you read the label, those are only supposed to be used in areas that human beings are not around. So you put in your closet, put in your attic for like cluster flies or whatever. And it's a fumigant. Okay. So if that word doesn't make sense, you got to think about a fumigant. You got particles that are so small, it's a gas and can get everywhere. That's what makes it work so well. You breathe, it's a carcinogen. It's horrible to breathe in, but it's odorless. And it will work to get rid of whatever you want to kill wherever you are. And it's a $5 product, but it is so harmful, but it's odorless. People have no idea. You go sit at a bar, I'll see them all the time for the fruit flies. I'm like, ew, I hate to be that bartender. They have no clue. Highly illegal.
That they're breathing.
They're breathing it in. Yes. Oh, it's unreal.
Oh.
So Kathy asks if fireplace ash is dangerous if it gets wet or if the dust bath gets wet.
I wouldn't think it's dangerous. It's going to be non-effective because now it's packed down. It's wet sand. You're walking on wet sand. It's not getting in between your toes. We need dry sand to get in between our toes. You need you need dry dust.
And Amber says, and I had this happen too, my girls eat mice or things that look like mice.
Yep.
And I did. I saw my barred rock with a I was like, what does she have? And I just see these little like mice legs hanging out. I'm like, oh my God. And toads. They like toads as well. Okay. What about growing catnip around the coop? Can the cat smell? The cat smell will keep them away. Catnip doesn't smell like cats. But that's another thing. There are herbs that you can grow or that you can put around there that, there's lavender, there's marigolds, oregano. There's a bunch of herbs. There's a lot of all natural things that you can use. I put them in the...
As a natural repellent.
Right, as a natural repellent for mites and
that's a great
bugs.
point. See, that's not my specialty, but I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I could have done a whole other show on just like natural
We should.
treatments.
Companion planting, right? Doesn't that fall under companion planting?
Not really, but
Of course not.
No, companion planting is...
You're planting something, and it's my companion if it keeps the mosquitoes off of me.
well,
It's usually two plants that are benefiting from companion planting.
companions. But
Purposeful planting.
yes, purposeful.
Yeah, purposeful
Thank
planting.
you, Nan. Right on cue.
But yeah, there are lots of things that you can put
All right,
in
all
your
right,
nest
here we go.
box.
How do you illuminate a food source in the run when chickens are dropping their grain food on the ground?
How do you eliminate a food source?
It says illuminate.
But she meant eliminate. It might
you
have been
sure?
This might be in a spell check thing. How can you eliminate a food source in the run when the chickens drop their... Well, there's the coop works, helps with the drag back on the food.
The feeder ports reduce. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the grandpa feeder, the treacle feeders. Yes, you can grow mint around the coop. That's actually very good too. And Cindy's never eating in Chinatown again, thanks to your...
I'm telling you, oh God, I could go on and on. It was on the store. I have so many stories. I mean, I would come home every day, just the stories. Oh, you just wouldn't believe it, especially in the cities. I tell you, working in DC, the rats there are unbelievable. I don't care how big the rats are. I don't. There's so many. We're talking thousands. Leaving these restaurants at night in Georgetown, right? All these college kids are coming out and partying and whatnot, and they Tuesday nights were garbage night, and all of a sudden the rats just knew they're coming out, eating all the garbage, and they're in and I was like, oh my God. And the hauntings, oh my God, the ghost stories in DC. I was never a ghost person. Oh no, they're real. Sorry, hate to tell you. Oh my God, the things I saw in DC. There was one I refused to go back to. It was actually butted up to where Abe Lincoln died, next to Ford's Theater. I'll never forget that. True story, I'm telling you. Oh.
So Tom Queen, I want to give him a shout out because he said earlier he is building his coop that he got. I think it's
Crushing
American.
it.
Yeah.
Doing such a good job.
Yeah.
He's doing the things that I can spot that I realize, like he had a bar clamp helping bring his trusses in. That's you want to do that. In theory, yes, you put your coop together and everything should fall in perfectly. That's what we're shooting for, but it doesn't always happen. You know, you're working with wood. But if you got to draw your truss in, use a bar clamp. Yeah, or a little ratchet strap. Just so many great little things. I love what he's doing.
So here's a question for you because Linda asks, has anyone dealt with wasps building nest in the hen house?
Can someone who is listening please bring in Operation Golden Egg? I have them on my desk. We need to get to the bottom of this. And I love the question that Amanda has. So anyways. go
But
ahead.
so with wasps, the people, now I had heard things like you can put like a paper bag that looks like a fake wasp's nest. Does any of that stuff work for getting rid of wasps as a territorial
No,
or
there's
whatever?
so many. Wasps are carnivores. Wasps are wasps. And which one are we talking about?
Well,
like mud daubers. Mud daubers are actually very beneficial if you don't like spiders. Paper wasps. There's the only way to prevent wasps around your structure is to treat the ideal spots that they will want to build their nests, which is underneath overhang so they don't get rained on in the spring. So you don't got to spray your house every month, but if you really want to prevent them, and it's a very safe application because you don't need a lot. You don't got to go through and hose the whole house down like they used to tell us to sell more. No, you just treat the areas that you know the wasp is going to want to nest. The queen comes out of winter and goes, okay, it's time for me to start my nest. And she starts to find these areas. She walks on it. She's like, this sucks. It's burning my feet. Flies away.
Well, what do you treat with?
There's so many things.
Okay.
It depends on the
look for
surface.
a
Depends on the
wasp
color of the surface.
preventative?
No, there's so many
have
insecticides.
we had coops that had wasps inside at all, like mud daubers or anything?
I've had wasps.
I've had mud daubers get in the dowel holes,
one-
actually.
I would think that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and somebody else asked. 2 people asked about carpenter bees. So do
Okay,
you want
so-
to mention that now?
Okay, so here's the thing about carpenter bees. I love carpenter bees.
do
We were
too.
at Ingrid's
Aw,
house.
because you're a carpenter.
Did
Oh.
Okay, I never put 2 and 2 together. But did you get that on video when we were at your
and
house?
I really need to do something with that.
So one of my fun things to do about carpenter bees is people freak out about carpenter bees because they can be very territorial. They're big and they're buzzy. They're making noise and they're like, there's flying in your face. I used to catch them in my hand, and I knew which ones to catch and which ones not. And the ones that are in your face have that big yellow, it reminds me of the Autobot symbol right between their eyes. Those are the males. Well, a stinger is an egg-laying tube. Don't get mad at me, okay? I didn't invent this. Males don't have egg-laying tubes, okay? So they don't have a stinger. And you could catch them, and they're still going to act like a big buzzy bee, and I'd pretend I was getting stung. I think I even did it at your house.
Yes.
So
Did it work? I bet it did.
No, she knew.
What?
She knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
She's smart. Ingrid's so smart. Don't catch the queen. Oh, she'll get the female. She'll get you. Oh God, they'll nail you.
Oh, have you ever made the mistake of catching a female?
No, but I've gotten stung by a
okay.
female, and that hurt. Anyways, so here's the thing about
good party trick. Then.
Here's the thing about carpenter bees. This is fascinating. Okay, they're gonna burrow a hole, marble-sized hole in your wood, right? Okay, that sucks because they're this, it's deconstruction to your home or whatever, damage to your home. It is fascinating. They'll chew in cross grain about an inch, inch and a half, and then turn 90 degrees. Yep. Okay, so they're gonna go whoop, and then they're gonna turn 90 degrees, about 6 to 8 inches with the grain. All right, so a little something like you probably can't see it. Okay, just like that. Okay, go in and then
looks like an L.
Yeah. Okay, real simple, right? The female carpenter bee is so smart. She'll lay an egg, build a cell. Lay an egg
very end.
At the end, okay, yeah.
End of the tunnel.
Yep. And then lay an egg, build a cell, lay an egg, build. Okay, anyways, so on and so forth. Just like that, right?
Making little rooms.
Somehow, some way, if you think about it, if you're this first egg that's laid, you got to be the last one to hatch, or you're going to be fighting, screwing up your brothers and sisters here.
Yeah.
They know how to time it. Isn't that incredible? So the last egg laid is the first one to hatch, and they go right in order. I don't know. I love this proboscis, the mouth part. Anyways,
so they must have different gestation periods.
Yeah, I don't know. know. So here's the secret to carpenter bees: prevention. Here we go again.
Don't build anything out of wood.
Well, can you give them a 2x4? So because they go into the eaves of our shed, and we don't really care, but we had thought about making a 2x4 with a couple holes in and mounting that for them to give them something that you don't care about.
Yeah,
possibly, but would you see the difference? I don't know. What I used to always recommend to people, and this used to be a lot with log cabins, and that can get really bad, is, and I don't know if you can find it anymore, a very good a true oil-based treatment. They do not like to chew through an oil-based treatment or oil-based paints. Now, I keep hearing about oil-based going away, and you have water modified, or what we used to do in the springtime when the queens were coming out looking for a new home to chew up, that's when you would have to apply a insecticide to the outside surface, and it's all about timing. So when she comes to and lands on it, it's a repellent. She flies away, goes, I'm going to go somewhere else, screw this place. Or she will start to chew it if you're using a non-repellent. Microencapsulator is one of my favorites. A non-repellent one, she's chewing in there, and then she ingests the insecticide, and then it kills her. So when it comes to carpenter bees, prevention is all about timing or what you're applying from a prevention point of view, the oil-based oils or paints.
And they're still pollinators.
Yeah, they do
see
serve
them in
a
the
purpose.
spring.
So I want to be.
Are they seasonal? I only remember.
No, they're year round. They're year round. It's just in the springtime when it warms up.
That's when I notice them.
Oh, that's when it's like it's party time.
Yeah. What about those traps with the mason jar?
You can trap them, but is it really going to make that big of a difference? You still got to have bees. You still got to have pollinators. So we got to take the good with the bad here.
Exactly. So Brooke has a question.
Yes.
I have had chickens for a few years now. I've never had a predator. We are in the open. Eagles fly over but never attack. Zero land predators. Could it be because we have pigs near our chickens? You've had pigs and chickens.
Yeah, I miss my farm.
Are we
going to go look at that farm?
Can we get to answer the question?
I'm thinking.
Tangent
so
man.
Here's what I do. When I do that, I'm actually thinking and processing what I'm going to say, and I guess I just can never be quiet, so I have to say something.
I can be quiet.
That checks out.
I know. I don't know how you. Sometimes you're so quiet it drives me crazy. I'm like,
I know.
Kristen, out with it.
I know.
I would say, yeah. I mean, pigs are. I love them. They're fun. I love bacon.
Do you think they act as a deterrent?
I'm gonna have to. I don't know. I'm gonna have to. I would have to say yes because I tell you what, pigs can be mean. They can be nasty. Like you got to be careful.
I think that for aerial predators, if there's any larger animal out, I think it might help some.
Yeah,
I mean, just like a dog. I mean, for some reason, dogs.
Oh,
work,
gotcha. Yeah. So,
even though the dog doesn't want to eat a hawk or an eagle, it is a deterrent.
Right, and you can train a lot of dogs to actually protect your chickens. So I would have to say it can't be hurting.
I would say it would help some.
Yeah.
Jeff wants to know what kind of insects are beneficial inside the hen house.
That's a great question.
I don't know that.
Oh, yeah. The black soldier fly.
Hold on. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, we can give them food.
Is this where Ingrid gets mad? Like, people don't want to see their comments. Did I ask everyone? Didn't I ask? Don't you guys like this? I want people. Look at our community. Look at our fans. We got the best listeners and viewers out there. If you're listening to the recorded podcast later, you got to come join us when we are live. And we're going way over. I'm 5 minutes, and Ingrid's not giving me the stink eye yet.
Well, that's because
this is a good. This is a lot of fun. Any beneficial insect, soldier fly larva, without a doubt.
Yeah, and they have no mouth parts, right? I believe they don't.
I'm not an expert on soldier fly larvae.
Yeah, they don't have any mouth parts.
There are going to be a lot of...
They're not going to be a pest, and they're not going to bring disease.
There's going to be a lot of adult insects, like Indian meal moths. They live so short, they don't eat. Only the larva stage is where they eat, and that's where they become a pest. I
can't stand those, though.
Yeah.
Asian lady beetles.
Used to have those.
Not ladybugs. Asian lady beetles. People hate them. They can get little pinchy mandibles. They get the mouth parts.
They're also not good because that's an invasive species that's not supposed to be here.
Yeah, and they brought them in to eat the aphids, and they screwed up big time. Those in the 70s, right?
Oh. I'm not sure, but regular ladybugs eat it. I have a plant that was covered in aphids in the spring. I mean, it was just starting to get warm, and then all of a sudden I had tons of ladybugs on that plant.
That's a great question. Ground beetles, black ground beetles. There's going to be a lot of beneficial insects inside the run.
And beneficial, we're thinking food.
Food, breaking down waste.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you said the little ants that I have, like little pavement ants or whatever I'm seeing in my coop are probably just working through the litter or whatever.
Yeah, ants, I tell you, I don't. Hypoponera ants, which I'm telling you, when you are telling me you were getting stung by an ant, which our ants have stingers, fire ants have.
I read something about an Asian needle ant.
I don't know. Never heard of that.
I didn't either, but
here's
I looked
where
it
non
up.
comes in.
But I looked it up because some tiny ant is stinging me so badly.
So I hope that helps answer about the carpenter bees. It has a lot to do with prevention. Okay, it is 1:37. That was fun. Well, I hope I got to all the questions and comments.
Are you going to tell us what that term is when you get itchy?
Hey, delusory parasitosis.
Yes, okay.
What is it?
Delusory parasitosis. Now, we need to get to the bottom of something. Carrie, I want Operation Golden Egg brought in here. I meant to bring it in.
Okay. Also, I wanted to to shout out to...
Can you please go in my office and grab
Benjamin
some eggs,
had one of the
please?
first comments, I think.
And bring them in.
Was it Benjamin?
Yes.
Somebody...
Ben Rankin.
I got it.
Yeah.
He had a comment about my chicken.
So someone said something about a giveaway.
Yeah, there it is.
Who?
Benjamin said, I know what's bugging Kristen's birds. Dale.
How to get rid of aphids on fruit trees in the chicken area. There's so many great questions, but aphids. Ingrid?
Get some ladybugs. Well, aphids, besides the fact that they're disgusting because they give birth to the live young, you can also...
I think that's
Matt
amazing.
loves them, but as a pest, it's annoying. Well, you can actually just spray them with the hose. If you spray
Soapy
them...
water, right?
Well, you don't even have to use soapy water. My first, if I have aphids on like a tropical fruit tree, the first, like a smaller one, the first thing I do is I take it to the hose and I just spray it. You just spray those suckers off and let it dry out. And if they come back, you could try soapy water.
Look at these. Huh? Don't be scared. There you go. Huh?
The golden
It's the golden egg. Okay.
Let me put this on here. So, oops.
Oh,
How did I do that?
I don't know. What'd you do? The golden egg. So we talked to the hemp company, which we got another truck yesterday. I thank you all our hemp customers. We got lots of hemp in stock yesterday. I can't believe how much hemp we're selling. Thank you so much. But if you don't have hemp yet, definitely get some.
And we had that nice hemp episode.
How about that? Nice.
Yeah.
You know, I've been getting a lot of questions and comments. We got the new boxes done. We learned a lot from that show, so that the information on the box is extremely accurate, so we're not misleading people.
And we have a nice
Conversion table.
conversion table, or
Yeah.
a nice little informational table on how
So
much
great.
you need,
Yes.
you need.
And
How
I
far will it go? How much do I need to buy? That's what I'm
Nan
trying
went
to
out
say.
there, did her math, and then fact check it with a volume calculator, and she was
Yeah,
spot on, of
great.
course. So we know if you're going to do 2 inches, how far is that going to spread with 33 pounds?
How many bales do you need? Yep.
Yes.
So what you got there, Matt?
So,
Oh, thank you.
sheesh. So I got the golden eggs in. The hemp company said, Matt, we think this is a fantastic idea. Send us the golden eggs with something inside, so that we have no clue when we get the hemp in who's going to potentially win a golden egg. And what's the prize going to be?
I thought we decided we were going to have a series of prizes.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, are we going to do a series of
and-
prizes? I want a lot of winners. I like having a lot of
Yes.
winners,
And
but I
it'll
think
be
it's
top secret what's in them, because obviously people can go out and buy these eggs. I
Yeah.
saw these at the dollar store, actually.
Well,
Well,
no,
well-
the prize is going to be inside.
Right, I know.
But we need proof that they got, so you don't want somebody mocking up something and say, "Oh, I got a golden egg and it says this and it's free coop."
Oh, I can tell you, I would love to do a free coop. Like I would love to do like 1 coop a year, maybe 2 coops a year, maybe 1 a quarter, whatever. I don't know. Where you have a golden ticket inside. I guarantee I will put my seal on it from the corporation. They will not be able to copy that.
yeah.
I'll just press it in there. It'll be a golden ticket. But I thought it'd be fun to have, $100 gift card to Lowe's or something, or maybe we should get some sponsors. That would be a lot of fun.
Yes, that's right. I have to look into that.
Thank you.
Now that my bug show prep is over, I'll have some time.
So I can tell you, I got the
Maybe.
golden eggs in. We already got, by the time I thought of this, the other truck was already on its way, but the next one, so they're in harvest season. So they gave me a warning, said, Matt, we might be a little while before hemp gets back in production.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so get it now while it lasts.
What?
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Well, they're in production. I mean, they're just being honest.
I know.
So we're going to do something, but I am always look for suggestions and ideas. We get the best ideas from our listeners and our customers. But I think, aren't these cool? They're golden
Very.
eggs. Can you imagine dumping your hemp in there and all of a sudden you got a golden egg? I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. And members of Carolina Coops are not eligible for these prizes like every other.
That's right.
And I know, and my dad will never accept. I guarantee you, my dad would be one of those people that would win. And I'm like, sorry, Dad, you're not eligible. And he even told me, he goes, well, I want to buy like 12 bales just to see if I'll win. I was like, I guess it's working. Even though it wasn't to sell more bales, even though I want to sell, I always
We
want to
just
grow the
want to
business.
thank people.
I want to
Make
thank
it
people.
fun.
I want to have fun. Yes, exactly. All right, so
So it's time for.
structural pest control with Matt.
Okay. Well, I'm going to bow out.
No, okay.
Oh,
All right,
oh,
that was a fun
Ingrid's
show.
done.
All right, so
Chop, chop.
what is going to be? Okay, I'll let you do it.
What is going to be what?
What's going to be the next week's show?
Oh, I don't know.
We haven't picked it. Are we going to be here?
I don't know.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think
we
I'm-
should take a break.
I don't know. I'm not big on breaks, as you can tell. As much as I would love to take a break, I love doing the show. I think our viewers and Nan will tell us too. She was like, "No, you are not skipping a show," because I guess she got a bunch of calls. Like, I was so mad Matt and Kristen weren't on with the video
Yeah,
chicken.
that's good feedback.
It is. Yes,
It's nice to hear.
Yes.
I think it's always fun when we can do something different. Go on site, go in the shop, do something like, oh, we're gonna put together our chicken coop in the front yard.
Bring chickens in, have them defecate it down Matt's back, and then I
Oh.
see the evidence of my shirt that I still don't know if it made it out of here. The
I
cleaning.
did spray it. I did clean off our chairs. I cleaned off the table and I sprayed down your shirt. And then when I got home, I realized that I just balled it up and left it on the washer. And I was like, oh, I meant to rinse it out.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry.
So we turned the cameras on this morning, and you'll still see the cleaning products in here. And Ingrid goes, "Oh, there's a sign that we had chickens on the show last week."
Yeah.
All right.
It was a little bit of a disaster.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. I hope you loved today's show. I will guarantee you, most likely, we'll see you next week. We'll think of something fun. But if you have any ideas or suggestions,
I vote for we build the chicken coop in the front yard.
Now you're pushing it.
I know.
You're always
it's
pushing it.
I know.
We're not going to be able to build a chicken coop in one show. Do it inside. You're crazy. All right, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care.
All right. Bye.